Hello, and thank you for showing interest in HRM Planning Application 2023-00959, a development agreement application for 101 Research Drive in Dartmouth. The following presentation will provide an overview of the proposal and the planning process it will follow. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. HRM acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. We would also like to affirm that we are in the decade for people of African descent. African Nova Scotians are a distinct founding people in our community who have been a key part of Nova Scotian culture and history. We acknowledge that African teachings, strength, and perseverance continue to challenge and inspire our community. The purpose of this public consultation is for HRM staff to share information with you about the proposal, but more importantly, for you, the public, to comment and share your feedback with us. Please note that the feedback provided will inform the process and will form part of the public record. A summary of the responses received will be included in the staff report to the Executive Panel on Housing. No decisions on the application will be made at this stage. So what's the planner's role in all this? The planner assigned to the case manages the application through the planning process and its various stages, such as this one, the public engagement stage. They are also the main point of contact for the applicant and general public regarding the application. Lastly, the planner drafts reports, negotiates with the applicant, and will ultimately make a recommendation to the Executive Panel on Housing for their consideration on whether to approve or refuse the application. Most planning applications end with a public hearing at an HRM community or regional council meeting, but this one is a little bit different. This site is part of the Southdale/Mount Hope Special Planning Area, which was designated by the Executive Panel on Housing of the Province of Nova Scotia to address housing challenges in HRM. To help accelerate an increase in the supply of housing, the designation allows the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing to make decisions on planning matters in this area. Municipal staff will be preparing the planning documents for review by the Executive Panel on Housing. Given that the Minister has the authority to approve planning matters in this designated special planning area based on a recommendation of the Executive Panel on Housing, a formal public hearing process at Council will not be held for this application. Although there will not be a public hearing at Council for this proposal, your feedback will still be considered in the planning process and become part of the public record shared with the Executive Housing Panel. The applicant for this case is ZAP Consulting Incorporated, and they are seeking permission to construct a residential development at 101 Research Drive in Dartmouth, containing approximately 1,040 dwelling units. Shown on the left is the general site location in red. To help situate yourself, you can see its location in proximity to Dartmouth South Academy to the east, noted by a yellow star. The yellow dashed line is Highway 111, otherwise known as the Circumferential Highway. On the right, you can see the property boundaries in a bit more detail. It is located between Research Drive, Fenwick Street, and Lynn Drive. It's a large site at approximately 22 acres in size. The portion of the site closest to Research Drive currently has office buildings that would be demolished if this proposal is approved. The portion of the site closer to Fenwick Street and Lynn Drive is vacant and mostly comprised of a wetland. The applicant is requesting to enter into a development agreement that would allow them to construct a residential development. The development would consist of 10 multiple unit residential buildings, ranging from 4 to 8 stories in height, with a total of approximately 1,040 dwelling units. Research Drive is currently a private driveway, but this application proposes slightly realigning it and rebuilding as a public street. All proposed buildings would be accessed either off of Research Drive directly or via a shared private driveway. Approximately 1,713 square meters of public parkland near Research Drive and Fenwick Street, and an active transportation network throughout the site are also being proposed. To find more details on the proposal and to take a closer look at the proposed site plan shown on the right, please visit the planning application webpage, which will be shown at the end of the presentation. When a planning application is made, it is often enabled by planning policies, meaning it was envisioned that development would happen here, and rules and guidelines were written to help shape what that development would look like. Planning in HRM consists of 3 levels of documents. It starts with the regional plan, which is very high level. It applies to all of HRM and identifies where population growth should occur and where investment of services like transit, piped water, and sewer should occur. The second level of planning policies is the community plan. This plan is focused on a specific geographic area and gets more detailed on what type of development should happen where. Often planning applications, which require approval by council, are enabled in this plan. For this application, the applicable community plan is the Regional Center Secondary Municipal Planning Strategy. The third layer and most detailed planning document we have is the Land Use Bylaw. This outlines specific zoning and regulations that don't require special approval by council. As long as your proposed development meets the zoning rules, you can go and get a permit without having to engage the public. For this application, the applicable land use bylaw is the Regional Center Land Use Bylaw. I've mentioned previously that the applicant is applying for a development agreement, and you may be wondering what that is. A development agreement is a legal agreement between a property owner and the municipality to ensure a site is developed in a particular manner. It's a mechanism to control development of a property or area and will specify the standards and conditions that a development must adhere to. This site is within the regional urban service boundary, which means it is serviced by municipal sewer and water. It is zoned CDD1, or Comprehensive Development District 1, in the Regional Center Land Use Bylaw. The site is designated as FGN, or Future Growth Node, in the Regional Center Secondary Municipal Planning Strategy. The enabling policy for this application is Policy F12 from the Regional Center Municipal Planning Strategy, which is specific to the Southdale Future Growth Node lands. A portion of the site is currently used for offices, and the rest is vacant land. A portion of this site is a wetland. The site is part of the Southdale lands, which have been identified as a future growth node in the Regional Center Secondary Municipal Planning Strategy. Future growth nodes are large sites that can accommodate significant growth and that require the development of master neighborhood plans to determine their future land use and densities. The entire site can accommodate approximately 1,875 residential units, as well as employment, commercial, and institutional uses to support the new complete community. The Southdale lands are divided into 3 areas. Area 1 and 2 are envisioned to accommodate approximately 875 residential units in total. The subject property for this proposal is within sub-area 3A and B, which is envisioned to accommodate approximately 1,000 residential units. The enabling policies that guide development in the Southdale Lands Future Growth Node were approved by Regional Council in November 2022. These policies require a transportation network that prioritizes safety and comfort for active transportation and transit users, site and building design that supports a compact, mixed-use neighborhood, new parks and public spaces, protection of the on-site wetland and its surrounding native vegetation, and the consideration of conveying the wetland to the municipality, water quality objectives for the design of on-site stormwater management, minimizing impermeable surfaces to support stormwater management, managing the effects of the urban heat island effect, and educational signage or commemorative features. The policies also require a mix of housing types with height transitions to adjacent low-rise neighborhoods, permitting a portion of the required incentive or bonus zoning public benefit to be provided as on-site affordable housing or land contributions, a culture and heritage assessment, neighborhood supportive uses, management of potential conflicts between the Woodside Industrial Park and residential buildings, approximately 750 units located in sub-area 3A and approximately 250 units in sub-area 3B, and public roads and parkland dedication to be provided to the municipality prior to most development taking place. This chart outlines the different stages a planning application goes through in the planning process. We are currently in the public consultation stage. After the public consultation, there will be further revisions and refinement to the proposal based on your comments and any outstanding items from the internal review. Staff will write a report and draft planning documents, including a recommendation to the Executive Panel on Housing for their consideration. The Executive Panel on Housing will then make a decision on whether to approve or refuse the application. More information on the Executive Panel on Housing can be found on the application webpage shown on the next slide. Thank you very much for listening and showing interest in this proposal. We ask that you visit the application webpage highlighted in yellow to view the submitted materials which go into further detail on the proposed development. We request that if you do wish to provide feedback, please do so by contacting Maggie Holm at the contact information listed on the slide before September 6th, 2023. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.